Well, hello and welcome. It is, what's the date? It's Friday the 19th of June, and it is episode 324 of the Pro Synth Network live show. Welcome, everyone, to the show. It's a very warm one here, so if you see beads of sweat rolling off of my head, do forgive me. If you hear the fans in the background, again, forgive me, but I ain't taking this T-shirt off for no one, because we'll have all the ladies and maybe some of the gentlemen as well knocking on the doors, so we won't be doing any of that, but we do have some hot stuff for you on the show tonight, in terms of our guests and our particular topic, so we'll be getting to that shortly. Kent is a little bit late, so he'll be joining us a little later on, so that's just to shame him into coming on as soon as he can. I don't know what his problem is, but anyway, there you go. We will crack on with the show once we've got through all of the usual housekeeping stuff. So first of all, if you haven't already, please do give us a like, a comment. You can do that in the chat on YouTube, Facebook, or what's the other thing we broadcast on? Twitch, that's the one. Hello to our one viewer. We have one viewer on Twitch. Hello. Don't you feel lonely? Why don't you come over to YouTube? It's just easier. But anyway, thank you for joining on Twitch. You're the only reason I don't cancel that account. I don't know who you are, but you're the only reason. So so we're across all three of those platforms, and you can chat to us via the chat facilities on those platforms. So please do send us your messages and give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube or whatever it is that you do on Twitch or Facebook. That's it doesn't cost you anything, and it helps with our kind of algorithm work. If you haven't already, please do subscribe to the channel, because that really does help. Again, it just costs you nothing, and it means a lot to us. And if you know people that might enjoy this show and they don't already watch, then please do share the link around. So we are a community-based channel. We've been doing this for 6 years now, and it costs us money to do it. So we rely on the generosity of our viewers, and my word, you are a generous bunch. So we thank you so much for your contributions in the past and the present, and of course in the future. If you want to be one of those people, you can do it in a number of ways, and we try and make it as worthwhile and as great value as possible for you. So one of the ways you can do it, and I think this is probably the best way, is Patreon. So if you go to the Patreon site, which is prosynthnetwork.com/Patreon, you can sign up, and it's a minimum $2 a month, and then you get access to a whole bunch of really exclusive content, including patches for synthesizers, both hardware and software. You get video content, ad-free stuff, you get decent sampler instruments that are created by our community and shared with us for the purpose of putting on the site and to generate a little bit of income. So you do get something back for your money. So if you want to do that, if you don't like Patreon and you'd rather join as a YouTube channel member, exactly the same deal. Minimum $2 a month, and you get all of that free stuff as well. You just find it on our YouTube page. If you click on the posts tab at the top, then it'll take you to the page. You can download all the links. Another way that you can help us out is to buy merchandise, such as this T-shirt here, and these bottles here, and placemats and coasters and badges and jumpers and hoodies, although at this time of the year they're probably not the best selling things, but we do vest tops and we do bikinis and other stuff. So we do have a summer line, but please do, if you want to buy a T-shirt, that'd be fantastic, and show our name off around the world. It's always great when we go to these shows, doesn't matter whether it's in the UK or abroad, and we see people wearing our stuff. It's so nice and heartwarming. So please carry on and do some of that. That's a fantastic way to support the channel, because we get a little bit off the top of each sale. If you want to join us, and this is really good news because we are growing this very slow, we're getting a lot more activity on our Discord channel. I'd like to see that happen more. In fact, there's one thing that I'm considering doing, is doing impromptu live stream stuff on the Discord channel alone, and it won't cost you, it won't be paywalled or anything like that. So you can, if you subscribe to our Discord channel, you might get to see some live stuff going on there, which will be a little bit more, I don't know, informal, casual. Not that we are very formal here, but anyway, that's one of the things we're doing. It doesn't cost you anything. Join up there, and you can talk to other Pro Synth networkers 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. You can also join us over at our social media pages. There they all are. The handle across all of those is at Pro Synth Network. So do please come and join us there. Our most active one is Facebook. And if you have a question and you want to put it into the chat, it would help us greatly if you put a big capital Q in the front of it, and also a question mark at the end, because that helps the little system here put it into a little bucket where we can come and address those as and when the time becomes appropriate. That is, ladies and gentlemen, all of the housekeeping. I can take a breather in just a moment. But I do want to say a big hi, first of all, to Steve Elbows, who you'll see in the chat. He'll have a little shield, I think, against his name. That means that he's a moderator in the chat, and he will look after you in the chat room. He will be posting links to things that we're talking about. He's all geared up and ready to go. He has no idea what we're linking to, apart from maybe the one thing that we're going to be talking about a lot today. But he will look after you in the chat, and he will make sure that you behave yourselves. Not that any of you misbehave, because you're all very good, which is nice. And so he has a very easy job, but we thank him for it anyway. So say a big thank you to Steve Elbows, if you can, in the chat. That would be great. We also need to give a shout out to Cherry Audio's very own marketing supremo, Robert St. John, who has gifted 5 ProSynth Network memberships. So that means that 5 people are sat there with a membership now and can go and access all of that stuff for free. So thank you, Robert. That's very generous of you. Andrew has already made his weekly donation, and also Custom Sonics as well. Ger Hughes. Ger has contributed massively to our Patreon and YouTube channel members' accounts with just loads of decent sampler instruments and presets for Cherry Audio synths, no less. So we are truly appreciative of his efforts, and long may they continue. So thank you very much, guys. Much appreciated, and yeah, all good. If you've just availed yourself of a ProSynth Network membership, enjoy, have fun with it, download everything, and come back soon. Right, okay, so you can hear lots of things going on in the background. We might as well bring these people in. We'll bring our guests in because they are, well, we've known them for a long while. We'll bring them in very, very shortly. But first of all, let's go all the way up to wee Bonnish Scotland and say hello to Scott McAuley of Scott McAuley Sounds. How are you, sir?
Hello, I'm good. How are you?
I'm not too bad. Drinking a glass of wine, talking to you, fine gentlemen.
That's the best way to spend a Friday night, isn't it? Really? Yeah.
Absolutely. Been busy?
It's been a steady week, yeah. A mixture of things around the house, as you've seen through the week. Me covered in mud.
Yes, it looked like you walked behind an elephant at the wrong time. Wasn't pretty.
I decided to do the dreaded job of power washing the monoblock driveway.
Oh.
Which hasn't been done for a couple of years now. Yeah, it was a messy job.
Pressure wash, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've got to do my patio.
It's worth it once it's done.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's always worth it once it's done, but it's just the thought. But I got it done in about 8 hours. It's a fair old size of a driveway. It's about maybe 6 cars you can get on the thing. But
wow, all round to Scott's for a party then.
Yay! More than welcome.
It's a heck of a drive, but yeah.
Well, actually, I'll tell you what. I'll refrain on the party until we'll see what the result is this evening. So.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah, we've got to watch that Scotland play Morocco tonight in their second group game. Yeah, so I guess you'll be slightly distracted. What time do they kick off?
11 o'clock kick off tonight,
okay.
so it's not as
fine.
Bad as the last one, which is good because the last one was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I stayed up for that one.
So did we. Yeah.
No, it
was worth it. It was well worth it. It was good to see.
Yeah. It's nice to see all these Americans in Boston doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, it's all the traffic cones getting put in the statues over there at the moment.
I saw an interview with it was a lady talking to a Scotland football fan, and she said, "Can you give me a piece of sage Scottish advice?" And he thought about it for a few seconds. And says, "Don't pick your scabs," which is good advice. Don't pick your scabs. Yeah. So there you go. Sage Scottish advice for you. Good to see you, mate. As always, we will come back to you and get your opinions on things as we go through the evening. Let's bring in Andrew Longhurst. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How are you?
Yeah, hot.
Yeah, hot, but it's very sticky. It's very sticky. And it's been a madly busy week this week, but everything got done. And I had the best thing turn up in the whole world, on the whole planet, which is a pair of electric secateurs.
That's half the fun out of it. You don't get cramp in your hand anymore. That's no good.
Yeah, get my hair cut.
From the secateurs, yeah.
Well,
I think my mum had some of those. So.
it's really, once you start getting a little teensy bit of arthritis in your hands and you get old and smelly, it just makes it so much easier just going around dealing with all the branches and stuff overgrowing, which is not why we're here, really.
Well, no. I got a new toy as well, which is probably just as disinteresting. I got a new multimeter because they were on offer.
Interesting.
And it's got this thing where it detects voltage. You just hold it up against a power line and it detects it's quite good. Quite like that.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool.
That was my little thing today or this week. No instruments.
We should all have one of those. I've been looking at them enviously, but yeah. No, that's a good toy to have.
Yes, indeed. Anyway, we'll talk more with you because you have some association with what we're talking about today. So we'll bring you in at the appropriate moments. Let's go. Yeah, let's go outside.
Cake?
Outside to a mushroom with a cat and Jason Jervis. Tom, what are you licking there? Your microphone's not turned on, by the way. I'll just let you know. You're muted. Boom, there he is. It's looking a bit grey and cloudy there.
It's going to rain. It's going to rain. I kind of thought I would do this, and it was really nice all day. Blue skies.
Yeah.
Quite warm, hence the, Hawaiian shirt.
Yes.
But it is going to rain, I think. So I might have to run back inside and just find a quiet space. Maybe
that'll be fun. That'll be fun. But
Doesn't
Tom's looking nice and relaxed. Look at him.
Tom's
He's just having a little wash.
That's
just
his best place,
cleaning
He doesn't
beans.
have mushroom back there, though.
Did you just say that?
I think that definitely deserves.
What a fun guy you are, Andrew. I can do that too.
Anyway, how are you?
Good. It's been an interesting week. I've had,
shocking
my
week.
Delivery. Shocking, very shocking. But I also prior to that had my we'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
My Kent skip finds delivered, which leads us nicely to my live stream on Wednesday where I showcased the DDD1, which is, I love that drum machine so, and I was so thrilled that it worked. And there's hopefully some switches that need cleaning. It does need a strip down and possibly some new switches, but ultimately I can make a drum beat out of it, and it just sounds amazing.
There you go.
But in amongst that, Lee, who works for Debrec, was coming back from London from meetings with about stylophone, and he said, "Well, what's wrong with your NAT?" And I said, "Well, it's just I don't know, it doesn't work." And I was hoping to drop it off with Kent, and he said, "Well, let's have a look." So we get it on the bench. And we figure out that there's some dry joints and a couple of caps that need replacing. But we actually got some sound out of it. So I thought, if this works, let's do a live stream with it. So for those of you, because I'm not confident that it's 100% fixed. I was kind of really tentatively sort of playing with it. And is it broken? Is it not broken? Is it? Is it? And I thought, well, let's have a look inside. So we lift the lid, and then it's like, it was just by here, next to the power supply, the transformer, that we had to solder. And of course, I touched the power supply, which gave me a nasty shock.
Indeed.
But yeah, it was quite fun.
You've joined the club now. You're part of the club that Kent Spong has been the chairman of for many years. So, yeah, good stuff. Excellent.
Yeah. Cheers.
Wednesdays and Sundays, Jason Jervis getting electrocuted for your pleasure. There
Absolutely,
we go.
With cats.
Anyway,
Cats don't get electrocuted, though.
Yeah, can you give us a bit more level on your voice as well? You're just a little quiet, if
Really?
that's possible. Just
Who, me?
Yeah, you. I know.
People say I'm too loud.
Yeah, not
mostly.
outside.
I think the last time I was on.
The ambience.
Weird.
Let's bring in some of our guests. We'll kind of work our way up the food chain, which is presenting me with a bit of a problem here. Who do I start with? Let's start with. I don't know. I'll just pick him at random. Mal Meehan, welcome.
Hello.
Suitably attired, I can see as well. Well done. How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yes.
Good. Yeah, been busy?
No.
No.
Yes.
Beat up.
Always
Playing
busy.
with the Behringer Wave and something made by Kauai.
That's a K5,
Oh, very nice.
which I have the iPad
Oh, yes.
UI, which is really nice. So yeah.
Nice. How are you finding the Wave?
Well, it's really funny because I for many years I had a 2.3 in my studio. I had Kajagoogoo's,
Yes.
and I have the third wave over there.
Mm-hmm.
But this is just like within 10 minutes, my muscle memory was
Yeah.
straight in. So I'm loving it. I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I think it's really good.
Yeah. They've seriously nailed it in terms
Yeah.
of being as complicated and as undecipherable.
No,
as
it's
the
exactly
original.
the same. It's
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, there's a couple of extra,
Yeah.
features, but generally speaking, if you used to using a wave, you
Yeah.
can fly around that. And I actually do think, and sounds terrible for crude synthesis, but I actually think the buttons on this
Really.
a whole lot nicer.
Really.
You know,
I did like the
$500
buttons.
bucks,
I know.
$5,000. Come on.
No.
Yeah.
Makes you think. Anyway, good to see you as always.
Yeah.
Let's move across to the sound design department and bring in Mr. James Terris. How are you, sir?
Yeah, good. How are you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Yourself?
Trying
Been
to.
busy? I mean, yes, you have been busy.
Been busy, but
yeah.
we're kind of in a taking a breath. At least I am. I can take a breath now, since we
Yeah.
got that released. Well, there's other stuff going on, but this is kind
Of
of like
course.
the slow ramp stage.
And of course, you've got the subject in question right behind you as well. There.
I do. I have 4 of those still.
4.
Well, 3 in a rack. I have
Oh,
my
okay.
original one that I had when I was like 15 years old or something.
Ah.
That I
We have
broke.
something. We have something about that later on.
On the picture.
But good to see you in your Cherry Audio GX80 shirt as well, which is very nice. There you go. I've got the red one of those. So it gets a lot of use. It's very nice.
It's comfortable.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And let's now move across to, well, it's the head honcho. It's the man behind the whole thing. It's Mr. Dan Goldstein, everyone.
Hello.
How you doing, sir?
Good. It's been a week.
It
But
has.
we are delighted to be here. At what point do we stop being special guests and just become co-hosts? That's what
I
I
know,
want.
right? There should be yeah. We should be, the Cherry Audio show, really. I've got no complaints about that. As long as you pay some wages, that's cool. So you are you're adjacent to another one just there.
That's my ESQ-1.
Yeah. How long have you had that one?
This particular one, probably 4 or 5 years. I've had a lot of them over the years. I've probably owned almost every Ensoniq keyboard 3 or 4 times over by now. They've been a part of my life since I got into synthesizers. My very first pro synthesizer was my Ensoniq VFX, which is right
Over
back there.
Yeah.
Ensoniq has been part of my story for a long time.
Well, it's interesting you say that because that'll be one of the first things I think that we'll discuss is that the fact that Ensoniq are when you speak to people, a lot of people say, "Oh, that was my first synth," and Ensoniq fill in the gap here, sort of thing. But before we do that, let's if anybody is not aware of why we are here this week, of course it is a Cherry Audio release week, and so we always have the guys on, and this is what came out of the factory on Tuesday. There you go, impressive stuff. This is the new Cherry Audio Ensoniq ESQ-1, and that's important that we say the word Ensoniq because this uses the official 32 waveforms licensed directly from Creative Technology, who own the IP now, so it is official. They can put the name on it and everything. I think it's the first time that's ever been done. And this is the ESQ-1, which was, I believe, was it their first synthesizer after the Mirage, which was I think the Mirage was the first, wasn't it? The first ever.
Yes, the ESQ-1 was their second product, their first synthesizer.
Proper synthesizer, right. Yeah.
Yes.
And I mean, let's start off with describing what the ESQ-1 is, and then we'll get onto this thing about the history thing, because I think that's very cool and also quite important. So, what is, Dan Goldstein, the ESQ-1?
So the ESQ-1 was Ensoniq's first synthesizer. It came out in 1986, 40 years ago.
Wow.
And it is what we would call a hybrid digital analog synthesizer. So the oscillators and envelopes and LFOs are digital in software. The filters are proper Curtis filters, analog resonant filters. And it was made during that sweet spot between like 1984 and 1986 when digital synthesizers couldn't really do digital filters. So they would build digital synths with analog filters, and that combination is a wonderful sound. It's such a 1980s sound, and it's something that we really love, and we've been exploring a lot of these kind of hybrid instruments lately. But it is a remarkably powerful musical instrument. And I have to admit, I've owned them for a while, but until I jumped into this project, I didn't appreciate just how powerful they are. But the thing it's got 8 voices, it's got 24 LFOs, it's got 32 envelope generators, it's got 32 amplifiers, it's got 8 stereo panners. I mean, I can't think of another instrument since then that has been so feature packed and just has such a distinctive sound to it and such a lovely sound. It's a wonderfully powerful instrument.
Because the whole history with Ensoniq, it was a bunch of guys that left Commodore frustrated with the way that they wanted to take the company. And one of those guys, and I don't know if I pronounced this correctly, Bob Yanis, or was it Jans or Yanis? I'm not entirely sure. But he created the original SID chip, the MOS, was it 6581 SID chip, that was very famous at the time in the Commodore 64, because it gave you 3 independent channels of sound, whereas other computers at the time didn't, and so you could play chords on this thing and stuff. But he then went on as part of this group that left Ensoniq and created the 5503, which was this digital oscillator chip, and there was one chip and it created all the oscillators for all 8 voices, right? So it was a pretty powerful thing inside.
Yeah, it's known as the DOC, like you said, the digital oscillator chip, or the DOC chip. It is one microprocessor that can do up to 32 channels. In the case of the ESQ-1, it does 24 channels of oscillators and mixing and envelopes and LFOs, and all this stuff is all done inside this custom chip. And the DOC chip is the same chip that ran the Mirage, and maybe the EPS, I don't know, but then they had the DOC2, which was an even more powerful chip that ran things like the VFX and I think the ASR10. And, they had this really clever idea of building a synthesizer chip that they could build products around, and they did. And I mean, I really think they made a lot of very cool products from that. But it's really neat to me that the chip that ran the Mirage was also used to build a complete synthesizer. Instead of sampling, they gave you a bunch of multi-sampled waveforms and a new interface and all these new abilities, but it's that same at the heart of it. It's the same chip that they developed. Very smart.
And I always found it kind of interesting, because my memory of Ensoniq, because they were quite popular over here as well. My memory of them was that this was a company coming in, and I think it's probably because their first synth was a Mirage, which was a cut down, less powerful sampler than others that were obviously out there, and therefore way cheaper. And my impression of Ensoniq at the time was that they were kind of like a budget brand. But when you look at their catalogue of instruments over the time that they were in existence, they designed some hugely powerful and very cool things that other companies, never really did. And they created a whole bunch of a portfolio that was hugely impressive.
Yeah, I mean, something like the ASR-10 sampler is legendary. I don't think anyone thinks of that as a budget instrument. No. But they were very affordable, and I think at Cherry Audio we kind of have a lot of synergy with them because they were making things that were very accessible to musicians, but were very powerful and really kind of insanely powerful. I mean, like I say, find another synthesizer that's got 24 LFOs in it. I can't think of a modern one that does. No. They were I will tell you that the more we learned about this instrument, the more I dug into it and studied it and learned about how it worked, the more impressed I became with how innovative and thoughtful this instrument was. There is a lot that went into it that was really ahead of its time. It's very impressive.
Absolutely. So I mentioned earlier that I think every time we talk about Ensoniq synthesizers, whether it's in passing or directly like this, lots of people, and I mean lots of people, all come up with a story about, my first synthesizer was an Ensoniq this or an Ensoniq that, or the band that I played in, we had an Ensoniq this, or the first studio or first home studio that I kind of built, it was built around. And Ensoniq seems to have become, certainly 40 odd years ago, that kind of go-to brand that people went to get good stuff at affordable prices. They weren't paying the megabucks that were being charged by the big companies. They were producing really cool stuff, and people didn't mind that it was maybe a little rough around the edges. Maybe it didn't have the bit resolution of the others, but it had the facility, and that was enough. And it gave the sounds their own character as well. It was a very unique thing. I mean, my personal story, I've never owned an Ensoniq synthesizer, but the band that I played in from like 85 through to 88, we had an Ensoniq Mirage alongside a Casio CZ5000 and a Juno 106. But the Mirage was there as the sampler, and we could play sampled piano sounds that just sounded, for us anyway, they sounded amazing. So everyone seems to have an origin story, shall we say, with an Ensoniq synthesizer. And this past week, Dan has been very kind. He's corralled some images. So we're just going to throw some of these up on stage, and we'll have a pleasant little giggle here at young versions of Cherry Audio team members. Who's this, everyone? James Terris and his ESQ-1 with his Depeche Mode posters on the wall represent. Cool stuff. When was that taken, James?
Probably 89. I'm guessing.
Nice.
And that's a Mirage to my left there.
Oh, yeah. So you went full in.
On top. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The ESQ-1, James, that was your first real pro synth, right?
Well, I had a 6-track, and then shortly after that, the 106. But this was the first thing that had a sequencer and actually quantized. I didn't even know what quantizing was when I got him. Like, my friend came over and was like, "Oh, you got to quantize that." I'm like, okay. I was young, like 15 or something. Yeah.
Well, talking of young people, here's Dan Goldstein with an Ensoniq VFX. Which one is Dan, everyone?
The hair.
Do you reckon? Yeah. Look at that. Where's that hair gone, Dan?
This is from my high school yearbook. I learned recently from Mal that you don't have high school yearbooks in England. I didn't know that, but my friends and I played the variety show in high school, and I hauled my very heavy Ensoniq keyboard to school and home every day for a while.
I'm actually just jealous of that mullet, Mal.
Yeah.
Dan, sorry.
When was this taken, roughly?
1994 or 1993. 94. It would have been 94.
Okay.
Yeah, I had a lot of hair.
Cool stuff. And the guys that you played with there, have you kept in touch?
So the guitar player is my dear friend Daniel, and he's actually moving across the country next week. He will be here next Thursday, I think. He's staying with me on his way to LA, where he's starting a new job.
Nice.
Cool.
Excellent stuff. Well, we'd be remiss if we didn't include Mal Meehan, representing UK Ensoniq usage. Here he is. We've got a little montage here of this is your home studio, I guess. Part music, part graphic design.
Well, that was my multimedia studio.
Oh, your multimedia. Oh, get in with these fancy
darling.
keywords.
Yes. But hey, forget the Ensoniq. Look at the Sun Spark Station, the £10,500 Sun Spark Station.
Absolutely.
In the bottom left corner.
I know, I was going to say that looked like one of those sort of flash
haven't.
MIDI hi-fi things. Yeah, what a powerful thing that was. So what we got? We got an SQ-1.
SQ-1 Plus.
Yeah, got a little mixer there. That looks like a Tascam.
That's a
Tascam.
Tascam.
Porter 2,
Porter 2, I
44,
think.
yeah.
a Alesis HR16 top left.
Yeah, and there's a S900.
Yeah. Is that TG33 on top
and
of
a
that?
33 on top.
And a Roland A something controller.
A100. And then to the left of that, I think there's a Yamaha FB, the little...
Oh, the FB01, yeah.
FB01.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. That looks a nice little... It looks a bit like the Ramai had back in the 90s, yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be...
Bit of that going
that's
on.
probably 92, 93, yeah.
Nice. Good drapes too. Loving the drapes.
Nothing
Where
but,
were
nothing
you
but
when this was
cream
taken?
monitors.
Mal, where were you?
That's in Streatham, South London.
Okay.
What's the laptop?
The little laptop is a little
Yeah.
Toshiba PC. Yeah.
Wow.
Which I just use to check my
Amazing.
multimedia stuff.
That's a pretty powerful little room right there, isn't
Well,
it?
I was the broadcast manager for a sort of BBC edit suite overthrow company.
Okay.
So I used to run all the graphics. So there's
Amazing.
in the other corner there's probably a Quantel paint box somewhere. I can see the
There's a tablet there
there's
somewhere.
a tablet. I can see the
Yeah.
Quantel tablet. Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
the big thing.
yeah.
And as Panda points out in the chat, those curtains, man, or the drapes.
Yeah. Well, it was all about the beige.
were you? I mean,
the colours.
you've cleverly cropped that photo, but were you rocking the ponytail there?
My hair was down to my belt. Yeah. At that point.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Are you sure we're not
With the
brothers?
90s, right?
Well, there you go. I mean, there's some examples of
Jeez.
the Cherry Audio team and their history within Sonic Synth. So I think it kind of.
Yes.
Jason, did you had an
SQ80.
Ensoniq?
SQ80, and I've got an ASRX now.
Wow.
The SQ80 was... Well, actually, when I was playing the ESQ, it was... I wanted the keyboard to creak, just like the SQ80 did. Because there was some part of it where the build quality of the SQ80 wasn't quite as solid as you might have hoped it was. And there was a bit of creaking going on. The keyboards felt a particular way. And the sound just took me to that moment of being in my bedroom studio back in Bristol, probably in St Paul's, working on whatever. I mean, I swapped my Prophet 600 for an SQ80 and a Sony Reverb rack unit. So that's it was with me. The SQ80 was with me for a very long time. I don't know where that went, but it went. I didn't need it anymore, I guess. But fond memories. It was the core sound in most of my music, I think, from I'm going to say 92 to probably 99.
Really?
It was a real it was the centre, the absolute centre. Yeah.
Because the SQ80 was kind of like the successor
It was
to
the successor. Yeah.
Yeah, because it had more waveforms, didn't it?
It had more waveforms, a few more options, and it had an aftertouch keyboard, which the original ESQ-1 doesn't have. But the original ESQ-1 will respond to aftertouch over MIDI, which
So I
again
find
was
myself
so
using the
forward
aftertouch.
thinking. Yeah.
Was it SQ80 not poly aftertouch as well? I'm sure
it
it was
was,
poly.
wasn't
It was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the
61
Ensoniq
was.
starting at that
Yeah.
point were poly aftertouch, and they used
Excellent.
a really genius keyboard mechanism where they used inductance. They didn't have keyboard contacts like most other keyboards. They measured the inductance of the key. So the aftertouch, when you push the key down further, the inductance would change, and that's how it would know where your key position was. Just, again, really, really clever. Very
Yeah.
clever people.
Yeah, absolutely. Scott, did you ever have any Ensoniqs?
I wish I did. They were kind of out of my reach at that time, so it was just a synth I never had. Always loved the sound of them. It was just a synth I've never actually revisited it. I probably could now and just go and grab one just to play around on the thing. But yeah, it was just at the time it was kind of out of my reach, to be honest. But yeah, fantastic instruments. They're so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't realise how deep this ESQ-1 was. It's amazing for the age of the synth. It's remarkable how deep it actually is.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew, did you ever have a history with any of these things?
God, yeah. So when the it's funny people mention the sort of it being cheap, because the Mirage came out at 20% of the price of any other sampler, and it wasn't as well featured, but you could do it, right? And lots of people started their careers working with that and working out how to compress samples down to get the most from them, and they went on to do wonderful things. Yeah. So when this came out, I already had the DX5, I had the MPG and MKS80. I had a bunch of other stuff, so I was used to programming and getting really sort of amazing sounds and getting enormously complicated sounds. But when I first saw this, the ESQ-1, at first you kind of go, yeah, what? And it didn't sound that great on the demos. But then you dive in and you see what it's actually got in it, and I was getting better sounds, more sounds out of it than I got out of the 5 for a long time. It was an astonishing thing, and I don't think it was as popular over here as it was in the US, but everyone that's had one is just a dedicated follower. It's a bit like the Emu thing. There are dedicated Emu people, there are absolutely dedicated Ensoniq people, and when the two merged, it was bringing two bunch of very, very passionate people together. So I love it. I also have I think I might still have an ASQ-10. Wonderful instruments. They design such great sounds.
Yeah.
Engines, really, really good. They have a sound that's creamy, and it just sounds production ready.
Yeah, they're very good. And as you say, I think because they were affordable, they found their way into lots of people's studios or live rigs. Not mine, unfortunately. I've never owned one. Now this is, this along with some of the other sort of Ensoniq plugins that are out there have made me maybe add them to my want list at some point. I might, if I can find one that's working somewhere. So let's talk about this. So Dan, this is an official plugin. It's got the Ensoniq name over it. It's got the original 32 waveforms that come directly from the original ESQ-1. Tell us about getting access to this, how that whole kind of synergy between you and Creative happened to allow you to do this instrument.
Yeah, so the ESQ-1 was something that I really wanted to do for a while, and look, I don't know how popular they were in the UK, but Ensoniq sold, they say, over 50,000 of these.
Wow.
It was a really popular instrument. And, James has one, and most people I know either have one or have had one or had a similar instrument, and we always thought it was exciting. I remember being on this show and having some of at least one or two of the questions be, hey, you guys should do an ESQ-1. So it's something I wanted to do. At one point I was experimenting with how we would do an ESQ-1, because we would, to not have the official ability to use the original samples, we would have to sample the instrument and try to recreate it. And as I started experimenting with that, I discovered that, again, the instrument is a lot more complicated than I thought. I imagined it was 32 single cycle waveforms. It is not. It is 32 multi-sampled sounds. Some of the sounds, like the piano sample, are different samples all across the keyboard. Mm-hmm. There's quite a lot to it. And so at some point I found the original sample ROM data, and I started experimenting with that. And there's a fantastic website for the Ensoniq ESQ-1. It's run by a German gentleman named Rainer Buchti. And it's just a tremendous wealth of information about the ESQ-1. The guy has spent 40 years studying the instrument, reverse engineering it. And so I got in touch with him, and he started answering a lot of my questions about how the instrument worked. Because understand, there's no Z80 processor in here. There's no like standard instruction set. It's all custom Ensoniq stuff. And so there was, quite a lot to learn. But with the help of Rainer, I was able to get the original tables that map the samples across the keyboard. So which key is mapped to which sample. And I started experimenting with that, and it worked. And I was able to create the correct sounds. I was even able to do it at the original sample rate of the hardware, which is something like 38 kilohertz, but it's a really weird number. And as I got deeper and deeper into this, I started to realize, this is the only way to do it properly, is to do it with the official Ensoniq data. And so I talked to Robert and said, look, let's contact Creative. It's the 40th anniversary of this instrument. It's a beloved instrument. Maybe they'd be open to it. And long story short, Robert sent an email, got in touch with them, and they were very excited about it. We didn't have to convince them one bit. They knew exactly who Cherry Audio was, and they were totally on board with doing this. And it all came together very quickly, and that was, again, super, super exciting for all of us, because, when I was 16 and got my Ensoniq, I had no idea that years and years later, we would become part of that Ensoniq story.
Yeah.
And that's just deeply meaningful to us.
Yeah,
absolutely. I was just going to, where are we? Let's just bring this up here. I found that website that you were talking about here, and let's bring this, here it is. There we go. And there's a ton of stuff on there.
Look at that. I love websites that look like that. It's just data. It's just information. There's no fluff. It's all there.
Look at that.
Yeah,
I pop the link in the chat.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
This guy's been maintaining this database, documents full of information about how the dock processor worked, and amazingly, again, this is 40 years of figuring out how this instrument works. But amazingly, when I got in touch with him, he knew every detail as if the instrument had come out yesterday. I mean, he was so wildly helpful, and I just can't thank him enough.
That's cool. I just had GeoCities on the phone. They want their website back, but it has that air about it, doesn't it? It is great. It's simple, and it's right there. Cool stuff.
Yeah, love that.
Yeah. So Creative, I mean, they're still going in one shape or form, aren't they? Because they're doing stuff here. This is the Creative website. They've just brought out this Sound Blaster little audio interface, and there's all sorts of different things. I mean, this isn't the same Creative as existed back in the day. I think they're based in Singapore now.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So, but they're still a pretty formidable business to be dealing with, and they, as you say, they were all for this. Yeah
all we had to do was ask. It just took a little while to get approval and get the contract figured out, and so for a while we were at the point where we had a fully developed instrument and no contract that was yet signed. So we were very much trusting that all of this was going to come together, and it did. And I mean, I never doubted it for a minute, but there was, they're a big company, and there's a lot of, people that had to sign off on it. Absolutely. But again, they were all, in the end, they were all for it. They really had no, they weren't, nitpicking anything. They wanted us to do this, and they were incredibly supportive, and we can't thank them enough.
So I guess one of the questions that I think I've seen being asked around on the internet is, is this the first thing that may come from this new partnership? Do you have designs or plans or ideas to further this partnership and maybe populate the Ensoniq plugin world even further?
I would love to, and I hope that there will be more. But and I know everyone has their favorite Ensoniq that they would like to see replicated. Personally, I would like to see a new Ensoniq. I'd like to see the Ensoniq concept taken further. Something that is sort of a modern day Ensoniq, and so. I guess we'll have to talk to them and see if they're open to that, moving forward. We've been so focused on the ESQ-1 release. But yeah, I mean, I would, there hasn't been an Ensoniq product for 24 years, not since 2002.
Yeah.
And so, just to be able to bring back this beloved American synthesizer name and reintroduce it to a new generation it's really meaningful. It's really fantastic. But yeah, I keep thinking, what would a new Ensoniq look like now? And maybe someday we'll get to explore that.
Yeah,
I would love to.
Do you know if they ever had any designs that never came to fruition? Maybe there was something that never made it out of the gate and that could be revisited and brought back into...
I don't know. So many of the people that were involved with Ensoniq those days are off doing other things or are retired these days. So, unfortunately, I don't know a lot about what it was like at that company at that time. And I get the impression from creative that, they own all this IP, but they don't really have the history. They don't have the people there anymore, which is why they were so excited that we came along and said, hey, let's take that name and do something with it to celebrate 40 years of the ESQ-1.
Yeah, and you've done it incredibly well. It's a brilliant thing. Let's talk about the sounds that it makes, because that's obviously the most important thing. And heading up that department was James Terris. You are a seasoned ESQ-1 owner, as you revealed. You have 4 of these machines. How difficult was it to start? I mean, did you start just by recreating all of those factory presets and then sort of work from there, or how do you start going about designing sounds for an instrument that's 40 years old? Is he frozen?
There
he is. He's back.
Wake up.
Did you hear me? I don't know.
No, we heard nothing. You were just static.
All right. Well, we had all those original SysX files and cartridge files and all these things, and I didn't use SysX when I was young. It was kind of a new thing. Eventually, the data disk came out, and you were able to dump into that. And I used my Mirage as storage for ESQ-1, which is kind of cool. There was a way you could do that and have a special formatted disk and all. But so I had a great starting point of all these original sounds, and then I had my unit here behind me. So I was able to I have a kind of a funny story. So I sold my ESQ-1 to get an O1W or something, and years went by, and about maybe 10 years later I was in a music store and I was checking out this ESQ-1, and I thought I think I want to get this again. This is kind of cool, and it's cheaper than I sold it for, or whatever. And it turned out I started going through the sounds, and that was my ESQ-1 10 years later. And so, of course, I bought this. And so I actually went and I'm like, oh, there's a 9 Inch Nails, patch, and there's this, So I had some of these original patches, the original cartridge I had sold it with. I have got a bunch of these voice crystal cartridges. And so all those were there, and I was able to dump some of my old school patches from 37 years ago, or whatever, into the instrument, just drag them onto the interface, and I had a good starting point. And I wanted to make sure it was represented, accurately to the old stuff, but then take it further and have the new, a modern spin on it with the effects and all that. I didn't go as far as taking the old sounds and adding effects to them. I've done that in the past with maybe Chroma and Prophet 5 and stuff like that, Prophet 10. But anyway, it was weird because I hadn't really thought about a lot of these deeper dive functions when I was young. I just didn't understand them. And going back, learning how advanced some of this stuff was, like, how you could restart an oscillator or voice or the envelopes, all these buttons, I didn't really get it when I was a kid. I just kind of tried. I bought it because I wanted something that sounded like a real instrument.
Yeah, absolutely.
And revisiting it, it's a great synthesizer, kind of like the DX7. I didn't like it at the time, but we wanted it to sound like real stuff. And a DX7 is awesome for something that doesn't sound real, just to create synth sound. And the filter on this thing is incredible.
Yeah. So, what was your starting point for creating new sounds? Were you looking to create sounds from the past again, or were you looking to create new contemporary sounds, or maybe it was a mixture of both?
Well, the mod matrix opened up a ton of things that I couldn't do with the original. So I started out kind of easing into it, and I would take, layers of the original patches I really liked, like a few, like Wave Bell and things that were really cool that I remembered I really liked. And I would import those in and then, layer them with something that I made and kind of do a hybrid of, it was so much easier than the old days. Like, the way the ESQ-1 worked is if you took two programs and wanted to split them or layer them, you had to be really careful not to screw with the other program and mess up your split, because it would just literally reference a different program from a different part, a different program number. So you could easily screw up several splits if you weren't careful. So that was awesome that you could independently have these layers and splits and the effects. And I started out kind of more classic, and eventually with the motion sequencer made some pretty elaborate drum beats and kind of more motion arpeggiator, which it never had an arpeggiator. And in the old days, I programmed it like programming a 4-track or an 8-track. I have whole orchestral songs that sound like little movie scores that I made when I was young, and I approached it completely different now. I mean, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's another thing that I didn't really think about. I knew it had a sequencer on board, but this was like doing workstation stuff before the workstation was a thing.
Well, that's why I sold it for the O&W, is I kind of got a bug for, this is awesome. It's one thing and a 4-track, and I used the Mirage for drums and that for sequencing.
It's crazy, wasn't it? I mean, what was the sequencing capacity on the ESQ-1? Was it big or?
Yeah, I got a cartridge that expanded it.
Oh, okay.
And I think this cartridge, if I remember right, you had a little door and you could stick it inside, and like the Mirage, you just plugged in like an Atari in the back.
Okay.
But I remember expanded it to maybe 10,000 notes or something. Dan might know.
I don't. I mean, the sequencer in this keyboard is something that we just, it's obsolete by today's standards, and we didn't want to replicate. I mean, you have your DAW, which is endlessly more powerful than what was in the ESQ-1. So when Mal designed the sequencer, we designed it as a 4-track, brand new polyphonic sequencer that could be used for creating rhythms and patterns and all kinds of cool stuff. We really just sort of rethought the sequencer.
Mm-hmm. And of course, sorry, go on, man.
It was definitely, one of the very, very first workstation kind of keyboards where you could use it multi-timbrally and record different parts. And, again, very just really impressive machine when you start digging into it.
Well, especially the macro section, I was going to say, you could sequence your mod matrix with that macro sequencer section that Mal added, which is really cool. That's how I was able to get almost like parameter lock kick snares, because you could vastly change, every step could be, up or down of a different parameter in that mod matrix.
Yeah.
Which took patience.
Of course, the other thing with your version of the ESQ-1 is that obviously you said the original had no polyphonic aftertouch, but you've now added this to your collection of MPE capable instruments, and we now have an ESQ-1 with polyphonic aftertouch and then some. And of course, Andrew's been doing a whole bunch of stuff. In fact, a video came out today on your channel with Andrew telling us all about that. Andy, tell us about programming MPE stuff with this and how you went about it.
Well, first of all, gotta do a big shout out to Steve Elbows, who was when I got the Osmos. I needed to get up to speed with this in a matter of about 2 or 3 days, and so as well as learning the ESQ-1 again, the software version, I had to get MPE sorted, and he really got me up and running. So thanks to him. What was it like? It's kind of like, especially with the Osmos, which is the controller I've used, it's kind of like taking the idea of polyphonic aftertouch and then just expanding it some. You add these, you replace aftertouch. You replace that with, I think it's MPEY, isn't that right, guys? And or MPEZ. So you associate slightly different controls. There's MPEX, left to right, MPEY, which I've been using predominantly for aftertouch, and then MPEZ is kind of like a strike thing. You can use it to, you can route it through velocity and get key off, sort of key off sounds happening when you set it up right. And I was just right from the beginning intrigued by how that all worked, and I did a whole bunch of sounds. James Terris and I were talking about this a lot, and I know we were sort of batting back and forth whether or not it would be possible to put some of the MPE routings into the actual oscillators and or filter, etc. And it was a brilliant it was an entirely organic way of moving forward and designing sounds, and lots started coming out at the same time. And I think probably I owe a big debt of gratitude firstly to James Terris for his whole thing with a DCA4, the whole stereo widening thing he was doing with the DCAs. And then also Steve Pegler sent something through to James, he shared it with me, which was how to essentially use sync between oscillators 1 and 2 to create kind of like a pseudo PWM, and that just made the whole thing sound
that's a good trick.
Amazing. It's amazing. So far from it, but when the first couple of days it sounded quite digital, it sounded kind of like I remembered it, but then all of a sudden it just became this glorious analog monster, and with all the routings, the routings, and also the layouts, each screen which Mal put together, just astonishing. It just suddenly flying around it. So I think we turned around something like 90 presets in about a week or 10 days. Isn't that right, James?
Probably. I think I did 25 to 30, and you did 40 maybe, or 30 something.
Something like that. Yeah.
MP is tricky because you almost have to program it per your device. Like I have a Rolly sitting over there, a little Seaboard, and I have the original Osmos, and it's almost like you have to create these sound sets for Osmos and for Rolly because they handle it so differently that you can kind of adapt these things. So I tried to keep in mind, like, whatever MP controller someone's going to have, this will be useful. You might have to widen ranges or maybe reel in the controller, the curves, but it's really kind of a hard thing to do across the board. There's so many different types. I think Osmos is kind of floating to the top, especially after this new CE.
Yeah.
And I think the other thing that's interesting, you'll probably find, I think maybe now, that there might be 3 different presets with the same name but with an appendice, AT, PAT,
exactly.
and MPE, and that's just simply because once you move to poly AT, it's not that far off of channel AT, but you can add some more stuff with it. You can, the way it sounds, you might want to change how it's reacting. But when you get to MPE, it kind of feels like PAT, like poly aftertouch, but it's not. So you can use the same basic engine, the same basic sound you've set up, but it throws this wealth of additional control and expressivity, which is why we did this video about expressive sound design. This thing just does it in spades. It really does. It's been an absolute delight.
Yeah, cool stuff. But always good to see another Cherry Audio synth embracing MPE, because I know we always it always gets picked up on, people asking questions in the chat about it. So let's get into.
sorry.
Sorry.
Just by the way, on the MPE thing, the implementation of MPE on this is really good. I really like it. I know that there have been previous versions which are a bit more finicky. Having looked back at them, they're a bit more finicky. This implementation of MPE is one of the best, the easiest, the most logical and creative that I've seen in a lot of instruments. It's a really good. So well done. I mean, hats off to you.
Creative, no pun intended. We're done, Tish. So let's talk about the design of this thing and bring in Mal. So you're working with a synthesizer whose UI is pretty simple, shall we say? It's not cluttered. It's not, but it's also digital. There's lots of menus, and it had this very famous. Is it the vacuum LED screen? It wasn't. It was probably one of its least favourite things. Was that screen and navigating through things. How did you go about bringing all of that out into a software instrument where you can pretty much paint your own canvas?
Yeah, I mean, we make analog emulations, and the problem with that is that any analog keyboard has a million buttons, knobs, sliders, what have you. So it's a different design ethic because on an analog emulation, you're kind of, how can I fit all these things into this UI that has to fit on a 1920 by 1080 screen? And of course, with something that's digital, well, you're programming something through a letterbox. But what was interesting for me is that when I started to, I never owned an ESQ-1. I kind of missed the digital stuff in the 80s because I was still very much into the analog stuff, and then when the 90s came, I got into digital, and I missed the ESQ-1. So when I started looking into it, it was like, oh crap, there's really a lot of parameters. So maybe they had the right move back then to have just one data slider and 6 soft buttons or 8 soft buttons, and so then I just started logically laying it out, and when you have a multi-stage envelope that has 10 sliders and you have 4 of them, then you can fill a screen just with envelopes.
Yeah.
Right. So it kind of came to me that obviously the Cherry way is to keep it skeuomorphic. So I had to find a way to page through these multiple parameters. And I really wanted something for everybody. So I wanted the ability for the editors to just be on an edit page, but I wanted people who use the standaloads to perform to have their own play page, so that everything's mapped out for them just to make quick changes on the fly. And then of course you've got the whole situation where, the biggest thing that was hard was the fact that I didn't want all the sliders to be, moving as you change the page screens. And that took a long time to match up all the different, sliders to a grid and, make it look like it doesn't look like on a grid, So, this was a little tricky. But to me, as a multimedia designer, to me this was really more multimedia than synth design because, you have multiple pages, you have multiple ways of getting to different pages. So it felt really more like, I wanted it to be fun, like a multimedia experience,
Yeah.
I've got to say, Mal, that my experience, when I first saw it, my experience of it is that it feels like it is an Ensoniq instrument. All of those pages look like they were created for the original instrument.
Yeah, so that's...
They really do.
It's like, my feeling was, well, if they did... obviously the ESQ-1 was a low-budget synth, but if they really did spend money on it, what would it look like as a high-value branded synth? So, of course, you want to spit all those all those parameters out into physical controls.
One thing I wanted to
we
point
added
out,
the mod matrix. That's even more controls.
One thing I wanted to point out that I forgot to mention, it's super important, is that when you program a real ESQ-1, it doesn't take the value doesn't just happen when you move that slider. You got to release the keys and then play it again like a DX7. So now we have the ability to actually move the filter and hear it in real time, and a lot of these parameters with the real one, it was so frustrating because you had to play a note, change it, play a note, change it. And that's huge. Exactly.
Yeah, and some of that was actually kind of challenging because you have these complex multi-stage envelopes, and those envelopes are not designed to be changed in real time. So there was some math involved in figuring out what happens when you change one of these stages in the middle of playing back the stage. What is it supposed to do? But yeah, every single control in this thing is obviously real time. Also, the original, many of the values are limited to something between like 0 and 31.
Like pan is weird.
Yeah, pan is particularly weird. That's a value from 0 to 8. In our version, you have infinite. You're not limited to these integer values. You can move the sliders anywhere in between the values of the original hardware.
And whose idea was it, Dan Mal? Whose idea was it to show on the envelopes the travel of time of where the envelope was in its as you were playing it? Because that's just brilliant.
We've done that before, I think, in Dream Synth or
Harmonia
Harmonia.
had that.
Yeah,
it's helpful to have that.
We've done that, and it's really helpful. And I think one day when we had the instrument working, I thought, I should turn that on and see what that does. And yeah, it was just kind of a passing idea, but obviously it's terrific. And but we already had code for that, so it was just a matter of switching it on and then discovering that it didn't work with these complex multi-mode envelopes, and then having to rewrite a whole bunch of it. But at any rate, it's pretty cool, and it helps a lot. Those envelopes are such a great example of what's complicated about this instrument. They're not ADSR envelopes. They are multi-stage envelopes. Velocity can shorten the attack time. So if you hit a key harder, the attack will be faster. But you also have velocity affecting the volume, and just these things do so much. And I just want to say something about Mal's design, because I think this is so cool. It's amazing. There are, Mal mentioned that he never had an ESQ-1, and he mentioned that there are a lot of parameters in this. And there are, the more I dug into it, the more I discovered things that I didn't know the ESQ-1 could do, because there are switches that are hidden in the settings, and then there's a button called modes that just has a whole bunch of on-off switches that completely change the behavior. I discovered one day that there's a feature that you can turn on that makes it so pitch bend only affects notes that are being held that aren't being sustained, or that are being sustained. I can't even remember now. But every time I would discover something new, I would go to tell Mal, "Oh, Mal, I just discovered something new that we didn't design," and then I discover he had a button for it. It was already he studied the manual extensively to understand this instrument before he ever put pen to paper and designed the layout for it, and that is just a remarkable thing. And I cannot praise Mal enough for how much effort goes into these designs from the very beginning, before the instrument ever plays a note. It's so thoughtful in laying out such a complex instrument. So again, well done, Mal.
Yeah, it's a dream to program this compared to the original, for sure.
I mean, I always tackle this as a musician. So that's
definitely.
It
shows.
That's the thing for me. How would I use it as a musician? That's my shtick.
And we now go over to Tom, who is going to tell us what he thinks.
What do you think, Tom?
I think it's because there wasn't much room for Jervis to be on the screen.
That one, dear oh dear. Well, Tom seems massively interested. I'll tell you who else is interested. Somebody who is an Ensoniq fan, Mr. Kent Spong. Everyone,
there he is.
Yay!
He made it.
Finally. Turn the microphone on. That always helps. There we go.
That Midas thing, it always fires up with the master volume down.
Weird.
Bloody
What's going on
motorised faders. I don't know.
Are you well?
Not being well, actually.
No.
Yeah.
You've been a bit quiet, which generally means that you've not been well.
Yeah, so I'm seeing the doctor next week.
Oh.
First time in 45 years.
Wow.
Okay. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
How are you still alive? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I wonder.
Talking of bringing things back from the dead, the ESQ-1. You are, as I introduced you, a bit of an Ensoniq fan, I would say.
I was, yes.
You're partial. Did you ever have the ESQ-1?
Oh, God, did I?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Played it to death.
You also, what was the other one that you had? Didn't you have another one?
Oh, Mirage.
Mirage.
Yeah, at the Mirage, I had a SQ80, DP1.
Oh.
Oh wow.
I had a DP1 as well. It was beautiful. I liked the DP1. Lovely hammer action weight piano they did. A few other bits and spoolers along the way. Yeah. Yeah.
And are you liking the new software version?
Yeah, it's great. Means I don't have to buy an ESQ1 now.
There's an
when the
endorsement
romance gets the best of me,
yes.
which it has done in the past, at my loss on a few occasions as well. So yeah, it's beautiful. No, it's beautiful. Really, really, really love it. Excellent.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. Well, always good to see you, sir. One more, and we'd have the full house.
Yeah.
I need somebody to fill that space in the bottom. We'll think of something.
The cat.
We'll put give Tom his own camera,
stream.
because we did cut to Tom when you were away, and
Did you?
he gave us his thoughts on the ESQ-1, and they were
Bet
interesting.
he did.
They were interesting. Let's go to the questions. Oh, before we do the questions, Escape Limitations, thank you very much indeed for your super sticker. I always forget to mention super chat and super stickers. If you want to just make a quick one-off donation, please use the super chat or super sticker button if you're watching live. If you're not watching live, that turns into a thanks button. Same thing. YouTube take a cut, but we get a part of that, so that all helps keep the lights on. So Uncle Chrome says, can PSN just embed a reporter at Cherry Audio World HQ? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea.
Do you want rotation? I'll volunteer.
Yeah, absolutely.
To do the first one.
We'll just do it in rotation. Did the Cherry Audio team look at any of the coding done on the main version of the ESQ-1, which emulates the core hardware? Was there any kind of like having a look at what the other people were doing?
No. Like I say, the actual software code for the ESQ-1 is written for the specific Ensoniq processor, but that's only half the instrument. Because it's a hybrid, you have the digital side and the analog side. We had to model the filters. We had to model the analog response of the final VCA. One of the kind of secrets of the ESQ-1 is that on the front panel you have DCA 1 through 4. But actually, DCA 4 is not a DCA, it's a VCA, because the Curtis chip, the Curtis 3379, is a filter, a VCA, and a stereo panner. So the final amplitude adjustment and the stereo panning is all done in the analog domain. And and then the other thing about it is the original code is all calculating these sort of 8-bit and 16-bit values. And so if you do a long fade-in on the ESQ-1, you do a really long attack and you hit a key, there's incredibly evident stepping where you can hear it go do 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 do.
Oh, wow.
We didn't want that, so while all of the oscillator and tone generation is all 8-bit, all done at the original sample rate, all incredibly authentic, our envelopes in particular are even though they use the exact original shapes of the hardware envelopes, it's all perfectly smooth 64-bit envelopes and LFOs, so you don't get any of that stepping. So, again, we weren't looking to recreate all of the original code. We wanted to recreate the original sound, but
Yeah.
make it modern and sort of get rid of those limitations.
Yeah.
So yeah, we didn't look into any of what the MAME stuff was doing. Although that's, you know, certainly cool to be able to, you know, emulate a purely digital instrument that way.
There does seem to be a trend in recent months where some of these MAME synths that have been developed are now kind of making their way over into the more accessible kind of VST audio units world. Hello, Jackson. So there was, what was the one that I was playing with the other day? It was originally done in MAME and is now a plugin. I think actually no, it was an Ensoniq. It was the SD1, I think, has been done in MAME, and then some
SD1.
clever person has manipulated that, taken that, and created a VST version of that, which is interesting. It is.
Yeah, that's neat.
There are some really cool people out there doing some very, very cool stuff. Talking of cool people doing cool stuff, and I always like to big up developers that big up other developers. Brad's in the house from Isla Electronics. I always get that wrong. Dan and team does it again. Bloody amazing. You've done an amazing job as usual, guys. So there you go. By the way, talking of Isla Electronics, the ChordBot firmware has now gone into public beta. So if you've got a ChordBot, go and grab the firmware and update it and play with all the new lovely features. There's some really cool stuff going on in there. So we will be getting Brad on the show fairly soon to talk us through that and other developments with things like the Caladan and of course the S2400, which is now back in stock. Catsin, thank you very much indeed. I was at a loss for a witty remark. It doesn't matter. It's fine. Thank you for your donation. It's incredibly generous of you. Thank you very much indeed. So ESQ-1 is out now. It costs $69. It's available direct from Cherry Audio. What we mustn't forget is that with every Cherry Audio release, there is also an accompanying release of sounds from James Dyson, who seems to just like poop sounds out, and so he always has this extra bank of around. Well, this is 100 sounds plus 25 MPE exclusive presets, so you get like free 25 presets. It's $9.99 direct from the Cherry Audio website. Let's play a little clip of Sonic Odysseys. So that's just a taster, just a tiny little taster of the 125 presets that you can get in the Sonic Odysseys add-on pack, which is just $9.99 available from the Cherry Audio website, which is cherryaudio.com. Quite easy.
Yay.
Just go to the ESQ1 page and you'll find all the links there. The plugin itself is $69 and comes with a demo version. So if you want to try it out before you buy, you're more than welcome to do so. But it's a no-brainer, this one. Dan, this might also be a time. Have you got a little announcement to make?
Yes. Yeah. So we thought it would be fun to, speaking of cool presets for the ESQ-1, back in the day when you bought your ESQ-1, you could also buy from Ensoniq these cartridges, which they call
please tell me.
Voice 80. This is Voice 80 Volume 1, and each of these cartridges had 2 banks of 40 patches. So on the ESQ-1, there's a Cart A button and a Cart B button, and then when you plug this in to your slots, you then have 80 new sounds. And Ensoniq, I think these were, what were they? I think they were like $80 each to buy these. And they made 11 of them. They made 11 of these Voice 80 cartridges. So that was a total of 880 patches that Ensoniq made for the ESQ-1 that you could buy. And so right now we are announcing that we have released the entire collection of Voice 80 patches for free for all anyone that buys our ESQ-1. They are available right now at cherryaudio.com/voice80. I think there'll be a link in the chat here any second. No dash, just /voice80. And for free, you can just click a button and add all 880 of these original patches to your ESQ-1.
Wow. There you go. There's an exclusive. There it is. There's the website. It's live now. And it is completely free of charge. Of course, you do need to own the plugin to use these. But all of those sounds, all 11 cartridges. I was very fortunate. Robert sent me a preview the other day, and I had to stop going through because I was just losing time. I needed to do paid work, but this was so cool. I mean, this was back in the day, and I'll come on to this point in a minute about the bank selection. Back in the day, DX7 in '83 brought in cartridge-based sound storage, so all of a sudden we weren't just limited to the sounds that were set into the machine. We could now add in dozens and dozens and tens of dozens of extra. I mean, we all know that there are thousands and thousands and thousands of DX7 presets because they all came out on these little cartridges, and that continued for almost up till the present day, where we're still able to add sounds into our synthesizers via whether it's a cartridge or something, whether it's just to zap it across with a SysX program. This was pretty revolutionary stuff, to have a whole library of sounds that you could just drop in with a cartridge and then away you go. And what I liked about this is, you said with the Ensoniq, on a DX7 the switch is on the cartridge, but on the ESQ-1 the switch is on the synth, which is much better, because those tiny little kind of dip switches on the cartridges, sometimes depending on the manufacturer of the cartridge, that switch was on the back and you couldn't see it. So it was so that was a very cool little design thing of theirs.
Can I ask a question?
Go for it.
Amongst all these cartridges, Dan, do you have the Valhalla Gold cartridge?
I was just going to ask that. It had a switch as well on the cartridge, right?
Please tell me you have the Valhalla Gold cartridge there as well.
Well, so what we have is what Ensoniq released, but our ESQ-1 software will import any SysX patch banks or individual patches from the ESQ-1. There are literally thousands of patches, including all those Valhalla banks available on the internet as SysX. You just drag and drop them into the software and they'll all be imported. You can also export patches from our ESQ-1 and send them to the software, and that is a tremendous amount of fun. Yeah. Because I loaded up sounds that James made and turned off the effects.
I had these voice crystals. Yeah. The original voice crystals, yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah,
because the Valhalla Gold cards were like, I think I bought with Valhalla, I think it was about 180, nearly 190 quid for the cartridge.
They were pricey.
Yeah, and it had
they're more.
And like I say, had the switch where you could switch banks as well on it, as well as
it had a switch.
So
I'm curious, Kent, was it like 80 times 2? Did that switch give you like double?
Something like that. So you'd have you'd have
why the switch?
Just basically 2 full banks on the switch. But the beautiful thing was you could just switch it over even while you're playing, and then hit the button, then you got the sound from the other bank because you can carry on, sort of thing.
That's
I've got a Valhalla M1 cartridge somewhere, but they used to do some pretty cool sounds. I wonder if I know Manny's in the chat. I was just wondering, did
PCM cards, didn't they?
Yeah, they
PCM cards for the back.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah, but, and there was one that did extra waveforms, if I remember rightly, as well.
It's like what I've been using on the the SY99. You get these data blade cards, and
Yeah.
there's one card with patches and the other card with samples that you can. But I know Manny's in the chat. Manny, did Sound Source Unlimited, did they do any ESQ1 stuff? I've got a picture of their catalogue in my head, but all I see is the Yamaha stuff, because there was a lot of stuff there, but I didn't know whether they ever did any Ensoniq stuff. But I tested the drag and drop SysX importing, and I just googled ESQ1 patches, and as you say, there's literally thousands. It's very DX7 like, there's just thousands and thousands. Some of them are organised, some of them less so. But it literally was just a case of drag, drop, and then a little pop-up comes as your sounds have been imported, and they're in their own little folder, and bam, there you go, you're away. And I did look for those Valhallas, and I couldn't find those anywhere.
Yeah, a lot of people have asked about that. I'm curious
Yeah.
because I've never heard it. So
Yeah, so I wanted,
wanna
because
know.
I know that the Valhalla stuff was always very good. Certainly with as far as the M1 stuff, and I'm pretty sure they did some DX stuff, some FM stuff. But
Yeah.
they were one of the
Got some string
well-respected
patches on there
brands.
that were to die for.
Yeah,
They were really lovely.
Very nice.
There's lots
Yeah,
of interesting
well-
sounds on them.
You can trust me. You can easily lose an afternoon just importing patches into this and playing
Yeah.
through them.
I
And-
did.
Yeah.
Several
Yeah,
afternoons.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, me too.
These 880 patches. You
That's
need
a
some
lot,
time. I mean, because there are some really, really wonderful sounds.
I
in
made a
that
best
Ensoniq
of.
collection.
You know,
Oh, did
Robbie Robbie asked me earlier how I started. I literally took about 2 days, went through all my cartridges, all the ones Dan gave me, and Centaur has a bunch of stuff still available, I
Oh,
believe.
Centaur, of course. Yeah.
And so I went through all those and made best ofs in this giant folder, and then organized them, and then kind of pulled from that. It helped
yeah.
a lot.
Yeah,
Wow.
absolutely.
It really shows off how flexible this instrument is, because the range of sounds you can get, especially when you start layering sounds together, even before you touch the new effects or the mod matrix or anything that we've added, just what could be done with the original hardware is legitimately mind-blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wanted to
Some of
thank
the string
someone
stuff-
before. Okay,
Yeah,
go
go
ahead.
on.
For it. Jerry Kowarski, I forgot to mention, I
Oh,
had
yeah,
a
Jerry.
really long conversation with him, and he had been there several years. So he told me a lot about things I never knew about the company and the original guys who designed a lot of stuff, and who was involved and who did what. And that's like for another show. I don't know if he'd be willing to go on
Yeah, I'd love to.
and talk about it, but yeah, we talked for about an hour. He was really kind to give me all that info.
Yeah, this is the one thing I love about our community, is that people will help everyone else out. It's just really cool.
Is it?
So there you go. Yeah.
Is it true? I can't remember who. Somebody told me that somewhere at the beginning of Ensoniq, there was a guy who worked for Commodore.
Yeah, well, they all
Yes.
did.
Yeah, I think that's
And
what he
it-
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they developed the SID chip for Commodore, and then they left and developed their own chips
Right.
for Ensoniq. And their chip, I believe the dock chip was also used in the Apple IIgs
It was, yes.
for sound synthesis.
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't just doing this for Ensoniq. They were inventing some really neat technology for the
That's one of the
industry.
reasons. It's one of the reasons that Creative Labs, I think, bought them in the end, was for that IP. They had so
Yeah, the
many
content.
different things. Yeah, and it's an astonishing. By the way, I'm still trying to get over Ensoniq. Ken.
Sonic.
It's just
It's so
classy
elegant.
art. Yeah, it's all class. It's all.
Here's a question.
Classy.
Now, this might be a stupid question. Oh, wait a minute, it's me. It
There
will be
are
a
no
stupid
stupid
question. Yeah. Oh, yeah, this will be a stupid question, trust me. Yeah, I've been working on this one. No, you don't have to tell me this if it's sort of like, oh, no, this secret, But, for instance, if you code, say, like, for instance, when you did the JP8 and you're coding to recreate the CA3046 chip, which is sort of at the beginning of the VCO, as it were. Once you've got that code, when you're going to do another synth and go, oh, it's got a CA3046 in it, can you literally take that code and plop it in and build from that? Or do you have to start from scratch?
That's a great question. In my experience, that doesn't really work, and it's because it's not the chip itself, but it's the volume of the waveforms that you feed into the chip. It's the feedback loop for the resonance. I
Right.
found that the same Curtis chips in different synthesizers can react and sound very different. So
Yeah.
we never just pick up existing filter code and put it into a new instrument. Every instrument is about studying the filter response of the individual instrument, the
Right.
distortion of the filter, the feedback of the filter, the way resonance responds as you pan across the filter cutoff values, all of that. They all seem, and I know it's sort of counterintuitive because you think, well, it's the same Curtis chip in every instrument, but it's really, the hardware that feeds data in and through the Curtis chip the circuitry can be very different from one synth to another, and the response can be very different.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Cool.
I wondered if that might be the case, because that's just put me off coding altogether now.
So sorry, is that the same also for the VCO chips? For the VCOs, because you talked about the filtering there, which we know is it can be completely different. Is the same thing true for the VCO chips?
So VCOs, generally speaking, any VCO in a synth, you charge a capacitor, you discharge a capacitor. That's how you get a sawtooth wave. You then use a comparator to turn that sawtooth wave into a square wave or a pulse wave, and you invert it to create a triangle wave. And generally speaking, this is not 100% true all the time, but generally speaking, the raw oscillator circuits of most analog circuits, you can't really tell one from another. There's only so much you can do by charging and discharging a capacitor to make it unique. If there is something unique about a particular oscillator, we will work very, very hard to replicate that. But as many people have heard for a long time, it is very true. It is the filter of a synth, and also the capabilities of the synth, the LFO speeds, the oscillator sync, the cross modulation, all of that really gives a synthesizer its character. At least that's what I found doing 39 or 40 of these.
Yeah,
So you're beginning
I
to
would
get
imagine
an idea
even
now.
Yeah, I'm starting to form an opinion.
There was definitely some
curves.
surprises with the ESQ-1. Like, I emailed Dan, or messaged him, what's going on with the sawtooth wave? As I play up, it turns into a sine wave. That's really weird. What's going on there? That's kind of how they anti-aliased it, right? So
Yeah,
much rich
again,
content.
they were so smart, and they knew exactly what they were doing. So even the simple waves like the sawtooth wave or the square wave are multi-sampled across the keyboard. So to prevent aliasing, as you play higher and higher up the keyboard, it switches to versions of those samples that are filtered, that have filtered out the high frequencies, so you don't get aliasing. Aliasing was so common in the 80s among early digital synths, but you won't hear it in the ESQ-1 because these guys were really smart and they knew what they were doing, and they did it all the right way.
They learnt a lot from the Mirage, didn't they?
I think so, yeah. And the Mirage, I'm not a Mirage expert. James is our resident Mirage expert, but I think, correct me if I'm wrong, James, you could load 2 samples into the Mirage and have one on the left side and one on the right side.
Kind of. You could actually load a disk that partition. You could do it all by hand, which was a huge pain in the ass. But you can get these partition disks that would allow you to dump samples across. That's how you got multi-sampled kits.
Yeah.
I
But
think they have a
generally-
drum mode for that.
Yeah, there's an upper and a lower, and that would sample independently. It's almost like having 2 completely different samples. But within that upper and lower, you can painstakingly, with that hexadecimal little thing, go in there and partition this key range to here to here. This goes here. It's a pain in the butt, but and then the more you add, the crappier it sounds. You eat up more time, and the bit depth just keeps everything. It's floating or whatever. Kent knows more about that than
Well,
me.
I think they did that because you could do a thing where by having an upper and lower, yes, you could have 2 sounds at the same time. So you could have drums down there and say slap bass up here. But also, if you were doing one sound, you have a sample sampled at the mid of that section of the keyboard, and then sampled again, but for this mid of the keyboard. So, because as you go up the sampler,
pianos and all
it
that.
just gets worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
This sort of went. It's starting to get worse. Oh, it's better again. Oh, it's starting
Exactly.
to get worse again. That kind of thing. So it sort of evened out the decrepitude of the sample, as it were.
Yeah.
It's quite.
We
Yeah,
would sample movie theme, lift pieces from film because I was
Yeah.
into Skinny Puppy and a lot of industrial stuff, and it had that, like Too Dark Park and some of those albums had this really crazy graininess,
Yeah.
and it's so aliased and crappy in a good way, almost Bell sounding, you know.
Yeah, used to do some great sounds where you take a sample and then you drop it 2 octaves and then play it down the bottom end and
Yeah,
then put
exactly.
a reverb on it and you go, yeah, that's ambient.
No, for real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Scotty, did you have something you wanted to?
No, it was just when they were talking about the character, because even the slopes on the envelopes kind of make a big difference to the character of a synth as well, depending on how the
No, for sure.
envelopes react. Yeah.
So the way they do that in the ESQ-1, you know, I've talked before on this show about how one of the things I really don't like about some of these early digital envelopes is I don't like the sound of linear envelopes, where, you know, most envelopes were just numbers added together to make a straight line. And especially with the release of a note, when you let go of a note and it just fades
Just
out in a
dies
straight
too
line,
quick.
it's
Yeah.
not natural. It's not
Yeah.
what sound sounds like in nature. These guys were so smart that they have tables of data inside their ROM chips to convert those straight line envelopes through lookup tables into exponential shapes that are smooth and musical. And again, you know, everything I expected was going to be a problem, like aliasing and linear envelopes. It doesn't exist in this instrument. They put a lot of thought into how to build a synthesizer digitally. And you don't see that. Like you were talking about the PPG. The PPG will alias like crazy at the top of the keyboard.
That's
But
why you
the
get all that cool
ESQ-1
stuff at the bottom with the PPG.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that Behringer has a modern mode you can turn on to avoid the aliasing, but the original would alias a lot.
Yeah,
But the ESQ-1 won't. The 1986 digital ESQ-1, the second product Ensoniq ever made. And there's no aliasing. It's just so
I think-
forward thinking.
I think what's really good with the envelopes as well is that there is an absolute relationship between the attack, decay, and sustain parts of the level. So, or the times. If you change the time on the decay, you know, on T2 and or T3 and T1, changing any one of those changes the relationship and the kind of curve you got for the next thing. And if you move one of them, it changes the whole thing, which is, it takes a little getting your head round, but it's absolutely glorious.
Well, the
Thank-
graphic interface really helps
Oh,
me.
thank goodness we have that
God,
graphic.
Because you can
interface.
see, you know, I don't think I realized when I
can.
was young that it went negative or what that even really
Yeah, they're
meant.
bipolar.
Yeah.
They're bipolar multi-stage envelopes. It's
Yeah.
a lot to program with a bunch of numbers on a fluorescent screen.
Yeah.
But with ours, you can just click on the points and move them and program them any way you want to. And even though I wrote the code for the envelopes to completely recreate what the ESQ-1 does, I'm still confused by all the sliders and what each of them
Yeah.
does.
I feel the same way, and I've done 350 sounds or something. for
But
it.
to just grab the points and move them is effortless and makes total sense. So,
Well, my
the,
so
the
glad for
velocity
that.
affecting the attack is very
That's
cool.
what I was
one
just going to
thing.
say. That's
Yeah,
my
it's
favorite. That's my favorite.
Yeah, and what
Yeah,
that
me
reminded
too.
me of, as soon as I started playing around with it, what it reminded me of was the full touch keybed on the Arturia Polybrute 12, because it has that, where if you hit the key hard, you can get a sharp attack. If you play it soft, you then get this pad kind of effect coming in, and it's
Well,
and
the
for
Mirage
that to be
had
in a
that,
synth
too.
for so long ago, it's amazing, really, that it had that in.
But
you
the
know?
fact that it's independent of the level of that
Yeah,
envelope.
exactly.
Yeah, it's just so you've got one velocity for the levels and one for the times it takes for transitions between each of those levels. That's genius.
Yeah,
It's
it is
absolute
very much so.
genius.
When
When
I
I was
first
in-
played those cello violin, sample on the Mirage as a kid, it was so expressive. Even though it was just one sample, there weren't multi-samples, velocity multi-samples or layers. It's when you played slow, it came in slow, and you played fast.
Yeah.
You could get marcato and then nice slow.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
It was so expressive
cool.
for something that was so simple,
Yeah.
And that's what the patch, the string patches I was doing was taking advantage of that and paying a bit of a homage to exactly that. It was a really good It was a
I mean,
really
basically,
big
if they put Poly AT into the ESQ1 as well, it would have been the new CS80.
It might have been.
And they'd be on eBay for 54 grand now.
Except now you can get it for $69
There you
with
go.
full MPE and all
Bargain.
the gubbins that goes with it. So there you go. Cherry Audio's Ensoniq ESQ-1 available now. $69. There's a demo version. There's an extra bank of sounds from James Dyson called Sonic Odysseys. Is $9.99. And as announced on this show exclusively, we've also got the free Cherry Audio preset pack, the Voice 80 cartridges, all 11 cartridges, 880 sounds, free. There you go. You don't get a better deal than that. So all of this is available on cherryaudio.com. The links are being posted as we speak in the chat by our wonderful moderator. Go and fill your boots with that lot. So we've burned through a huge chunk of the show, but there were a couple of other news pieces that I did want to kind of cover because at least one of them is pretty significant. And this was, I mean, when I saw that these two products were coming out in the same week, I thought,
I know exactly what you're talking about.
But as it turns out, I think they both did very well because they're different things and they do both of their jobs incredibly well. But also released this week was this from our friends at G4 Software. There we go. That is the Sequential Prophet 5 through GeForce Software that came out on when was it? Thursday, I think it was. There it is. It is official. This is just like Cherry Audio with the Ensoniq ESQ-1. This is an official tie-in with Sequential. Of course, obviously Sequential and Oberheim have very close ties nowadays, and I'm assuming that this has come about because of what GeForce have been doing with the Oberheim products. This is, I think, probably the most accurate. I don't know. I mean, I suppose it all depends on taste. But from what I understand, this is pretty much a software version of the Rev 4 Prophet, which was the hardware version that came out a few years ago. In as much as it does the same thing, it has the both versions of the filter chipset. So it has the SSM for the Rev 1 and 2, and then the CEM for the Rev 3. There's also the vintage knob that you have in there that introduces a whole bunch of like variations to give you that kind of slightly needs to go to Kent Spong type feel to the synthesizer. But it adds a whole bunch of other stuff as well, of course. Not only does it give you 5 voices of polyphony, it gives you up to 10 voices of polyphony, but it also gives you 2 layers of 10 voice polyphony. So in essence, this is a Prophet 20 maybe. But you can use those layers in different ways. So you can have layers and splits. You can also have this alternate thing. So when you play the note, it's bouncing between the two, the A and the B section. And of course, they've introduced their X modifiers at the top there. So you can modulate pretty much everything within this instrument. And there's a whole bunch of really nice effects on there. Nice reverb, delay. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. It's a very, very powerful thing. It's also fully MPE compatible, so that's nice to see. You get all the factory presets plus over 460 extra ones designed by some very, very clever people, including Jamie Morden, who we know very well. And the ones that I really like are the ones that are designed by Polydata, but they're not listed under the name Polydata. They're listed under somebody else's, his actual name, I believe. And if you ever check out Polydata's patches, he does a whole bunch of stuff. They are so retro. As soon as you start playing them, it sounds like you're listening to 1970s PBS kind of wobbly wow and fluttery. It's beautiful, and it goes so well with this. there've been a number of Prophet 5 emulations. We had the Pro 53 originally. I think that was probably the first one. From
That was first I knew.
Yeah, and then we had the Arturia one that's happened. Of course, you guys, Cherry Audio, you did the P10, which is essentially two of these things kind of bolted together for all intents and purposes.
Repro as well, wasn't it?
Yuhi Repro is kind of a clone
Something
of it,
like that.
Yeah, with a whole bunch of extra stuff on. But this is the official one. Did we have any? I mean, I've been playing around with it for a little while, and it's gorgeous. The first thing, the patch, when you open it up, is pretty much the Betty Davis Eyes patch.
Yeah,
and so that was the first thing I played on it, and it was just, it's glorious. It sounds really, really nice. Has anyone had a chance to play with this? Had to go with this? Got any thoughts on this?
I like all Dave's stuff, or GeForce, not just Dave.
Yeah.
I've been a big fan for years. I still own most everything they have. I don't know that I'll get this now because I have a real one. I've had a real one for years, and then ours is pretty good. I mean, I'm curious. I may. And a friend of mine emailed me yesterday and kind of raved about it. Said, "You got to check this out." And he has all of our stuff and loves our stuff too. So I don't know. I don't like to see it as a competition. I think everyone does their own spin, and I think I like his effects section and that top section and the way he maps things. It just takes getting used to. Those pitch wheels or modern pitch wheel are pretty huge.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why he needs them that big. That's the only thing that stuck out to me as kind of interesting.
So they are. I never noticed that.
But also, the pitch bend can be applied differently to the different sections and the different layers. So that's a neat little thing. But yeah, I mean, it's for me. I don't know. I've not had enough time. I've very briefly played an original. I can't remember what it was, but it was an original Prophet. I think it might have been a 2. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
It probably wasn't because it was working, so it's probably a 3.
Yeah. Exactly.
But there are distinct differences between the two and it's often spoken of. I mean, forget the reliability issues. The 1 and the 2 with the SSM filters does sound. I think somebody described it the other day. If you want pads from a Prophet, you get the 1 or the 2. If you want searing leads and basses, you get the 3.
Yeah.
I mean, what Bernie Worrell was doing with this, with Talking Heads, for me is just like that's quintessential Prophet 5 stuff.
Yeah.
And you can get all of that out of this. So yeah, I think it's. Anybody else got any thoughts on this?
I was quite disappointed with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I put it into Rev 1, and it didn't overheat.
Yeah.
There you go.
I put it into Rev 2, and it didn't flicker and then die. And you put it on the Rev 3, and the auto tune worked every time. You go, nah, this isn't authentic
Not
at
authentic.
all.
Not authentic at all.
This is nothing like a Prophet 5. What are you talking about?
I know we've had this question or this comment thrown around for the last few days since this came out. Oh, do we need another Prophet 5? Why don't they do something new and cool in original, which they have been doing with MAP and with Halogen. I just think this is nice to have a proper, officially branded kind of Prophet 5 out there that the company themselves have approved.
Yeah, and I think this is the first sequential plugin.
It is, yeah.
It is, first sequential authorized plugin.
And
really
I know how
He
Dave
invented
felt
it.
when he got the Oberheim gig, because
that was huge.
For him, it was just you could see tears in his eyes kind of welling up because it was such a proud moment. So this has got to be up there as well. I know I'm pretty sure he's got a Rev 4, and I'm not sure what he's got in his studio.
Early on, when I first started talking to Dave, just cold emailed him years ago about an idea that I had, and we talked back and forth quite a bit. And when he found out I was good friends with Dave Smith, he often would ask, like, could you introduce me? Because at that time he was, I think, kind of preparing for the Bright Sparks series. And I'm pretty sure, I mean, this is just my assumption, that really helped him get close to Tom, and then Marcus was able to negotiate the deal. I talked to Tom a bit about it, and I got the feeling it was kind of more Marcus, negotiating after that. But I think that helped, especially with ARP as well. His documentaries were just so cool. Dave does such awesome jobs on these things. And you can tell his promo is really good. So I think, I didn't really want to bother Dave Smith. It's just, it gets awkward, I didn't want to, say, here, this guy wants to do this, and so I just never even touched that. And I think that it is huge. I'm not saying it wouldn't have happened when Dave was alive, but now that Focusrite's involved, it's probably a little easier for that kind of stuff to happen. And it is huge
also,
that this is happening.
Which is strange when you consider that Dave Smith he created the very first virtual instrument. So
no, I know. I bring
So it's
things
so
in
weird.
often and show him, and he didn't seem that interested about this. He's like, "Oh, that's really cool, but not really for me." So I just kind of, once I got that, that happened a few times. I'm just like, I'm just going to leave it alone. I'm not going to try and push anything on him. But yeah.
So I wonder how much influence Cherry Audio's had here, because the price of this is £69.
69.
It's a very funny price.
It's got to be, isn't it?
Yeah.
69. This is an intro price. It will go up to $99.
It's $84. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But
Minus a penny.
I think I'm pretty sure, because one of the things that I never had always a little bug about was that the prices quoted were ex VAT, and when you put it in your basket, then all of a sudden there's tax on top of that. I think they've got rid of that now. I think this is now inclusive of VAT, which is a nice little touch. So yeah, it's another amazing addition to the GeForce catalogue. It's an incredible instrument. If you want a Prophet 5 that is bang on and approved by Sequential themselves, you can't go wrong with that one. This is a little interesting piece of stuff. I think I've got a video here. I'm conscious of the time, but I did want to get this. Please, I always have to preface anything that we talk about with modular. Do not take this as a sign of my weakness in getting into to Eurorack or anything. But this, I thought...
Hang on a minute. Are you ready? Come on.
No, this is incredible. This is incredible. Have a look at this. And you can go and watch the rest of that.
Just sounds like a guitar, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
In modular.
You build this thing. It sounds like a guitar.
It sounds like a guitar, but it behaves
like
in its own different kind of way. So you can buy this as a system for just shy of €1,600.
Jeez.
And you get all the modules, and then I think you have to buy your own strings and put those on. But you've got these multiple. You've got a rotary exciter. You've got an EBO slider. There's all these different modules: the plectrum module, the quadraphonic pickups, the humbuckers, headstocks, and bridges. And you can build your own modular Eurorack guitar system. And I just thought that was incredible. I just thought now somebody's thinking outside of the box.
Only a synthesis would remove the human element.
Right.
I mean, come on, why do you need a button to flick the string? I mean, I don't get it.
It looked really awkward, didn't it?
I wonder if you can use like a slide on it,
But it's got an EBO system, right? It'll excite the string on its own.
Yeah,
and you can
so you don't even need to be in the room.
You can play the string.
But there's a plucking module that actually kind of goes.
It is a plucking module.
Yeah, quite.
Plucking module. Yeah.
I've actually got a design. I've actually got a design for something like this.
Me too. For a long time, I've had.
Yeah,
I wanted like a hurdy-gurdy, you know.
Yeah.
That had a
what I was
wheel.
thinking of was a guitar
That makes-
sequencer, right?
Okay.
And that was the idea that I thought, yeah, that might be different. It might be, but they've done it. But I saw the prices and everything. And go, just get
That's
a
a lot
guitar
of money.
book and learn how to play guitar.
Yeah,
For Christ's sake.
Yeah, a full
was the
system is
thing
going to
that
be
got
setting you
cream
back about
event?
like this.
2.5
cream?
grand, $3,000.
Oh,
That's
sort
a
of
lot.
infinity
I kinda like
thing.
Hire a guitarist.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm here.
There you go. Yeah, he's available for weddings
But
and
yeah, this is
funerals.
the ADDAC 120 series from or is it ADAC or ADAC? I don't know. But yeah, they produce modules of all sorts of varieties, and this is the new one. And yeah, you can build your own, as of course it is the way with modular, or you can buy the entire system and have the whole thing for just shy of 1,600.
Or you can just buy UJAM.
Or you can buy that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a plectrum.
Yeah.
Or a play.
Next on the list, the self-emptying pedal bin.
There was. I'm not going to play the promo video, but there was also some other news in the world
don't.
of electronic music today, and that was it today? No, it was yesterday. I think it was. That was the MPCs. So the MPC-1 and the MPC Key 37, I believe, have both had significant upgrades. Basically, the G2 stands for Generation 2. So they've had memory, storage, and a processor upgrade. Apparently, the processor is 4 times as powerful. There's also been a big upgrade for the software, the OS, which you can run on other MPC hardware and also on your Mac or your PC. And that's added a whole bunch of basic waveforms and stuff. So you can actually now use the MPC software as a creative synthesizer as well. It's the whole ecosystem is blowing up, and you can do. I mean, I used this MPC 3.9 to mess around with stuff on the computer, and then I can send this as a MPC sample file to my MPC sample, and all of the samples are in there, and I can then just mess around with that, and I can go backwards the other way as well. So it also works as a plugin within your DAW. So there's a whole bunch of stuff going. Akai are kind of killing it.
Yeah, they are.
So
It's a
Houston
great-
Singletary.
Have you
who helped
noticed?
us,
Have you noticed though in the video when they're showing the people playing these things, just is it me or does everybody look like they're just writing an angry email?
yes, I have to say.
Doesn't it? When there's no sound, they go, "Dear sir, I am absolutely appalled."
I'm going to write to my MP
Yeah,
immediately.
they go, "Dear Akai,
It's a thing. It's
my
a DJ
USB
thing.
socket is broken. Will you fix it
I'll
now
tell
for
you-
me, please?"
Some of the people that do this finger drumming stuff are incredible.
Well, it's steady.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
A guy
I have
named
the-
Mad Zach. He's really good.
Yeah,
I have the
yeah.
37
Oh, yeah,
arrive-
yeah, yeah.
I have the 37 arriving on Wednesday, so I'll tell you.
Oh,
all about
nice. Yeah, that'd be cool. That'd
And
be
it's
cool.
not basic waveforms. There's a whole lot of waveforms. It's really
right.
a very complex oscillator in there. Because they
FM,
already have the
whole bunch of
filter
stuff.
and the
Yeah.
envelopes and stuff. So it's basically a complete synthesizer now.
But
So-
is it
Great
an
platform.
MPC if it's got a keyboard? I don't think so.
I don't know.
A keyboard player.
That's me writing my angry
I mean,
email to
I
Akai.
have the 61 there, which is fantastic. So this is going to be great.
Yeah.
So I had to go with the original 61, and I don't know if it's been improved with updates, but it seemed very kind of laggy and slow.
So
to-
here's
It had a lot of problems.
So here's the
Yeah.
thing: it's not designed as a what we would call a workstation, right? So it's designed as an MPC, platform. So
Yeah.
of course, I bought it because I wanted to see if I could use it as a live keyboard, and you can get around it, but there is a delay in the presets.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
the problem. I considered it too. It seemed incredible when I saw him. Like,
No,
this
it's
is
an
exactly
incredible
what I want.
keyboard. Now, however, the new G2 just squishes that because now
Yeah,
it's
it's
pretty
good.
much instantaneous. So
Yeah,
it is actually I think this is probably the best if you want a workstation multi-timbral keyboard. The MPC keys are the fantastic. They're the best on the market, I think.
Nice. We are at the top of the hour. I know we all have to go, but I did want to mention these guys because there was a little conversation on Sonic State this week about plugins and managing your plugins. And I think it was Nick Howes that put me onto these guys a couple of months ago. The company is called Midifex, MIDIFEX, and they do some incredibly good tools, one of which is completely free of charge, and it's called PlugOff. And it's, you just download it, install it, and it will scan your plugin folders, and it automatically has all the kind of common native folders, but you can put all your custom folders in there as well. And it will scan through your entire plugin collection, and then you can sort them by their format, by their manufacturer, by their category. And if you want to offload some, you can do it really easily. Like I've loaded this up and noticed that I've got a whole bunch of clap plugins and AAX plugins all installed, and I don't need any of those formats at the moment.
No one needs
So-
clap.
No one needs
quite.
cloud. I
So-
almost said that.
So I just clicked on AAX, it highlighted all the AAX plugins, and then I just select all and then offload, and it takes them all out of the system. But instead of just getting rid of them, because that could be a pain because you might have just accidentally used one, it sticks it into a separate offloaded folder, and if you need to put it back, you just drag and drop it back in again. You can have a look. It's got insights. You can see how often they're being used in your projects and stuff. It's an incredibly cool tool, and it's free. So, go and grab this. But whilst you're there, you should absolutely check out MIDIVEX, which is this MIDI
Really
routing software, which is incredible. It's not just, doesn't just allow you to route any MIDI to any MIDI. You can create patches, you can create set lists. You can now, it comes with a another tool, which is a full drum sequencer inside this thing. You can play back stuff. It's incredible, and it's not a huge amount of money. There's a light version which is free, and I think the full version is about it's $80, one-off payment, lifetime license across 2 computers. That's very, very cool. And if you didn't want that but you just wanted the drum thing, then that's also available, and it's free, and it's you don't need to worry about that. It's all that. They are an incredibly good company, and they're making some really, really useful tools. MIDIFEX, MIDIFEX. Go and check their stuff out and tell them you found it here. They're doing some really, really cool things. Gentlemen, that is it. We've run over time. We've had some fantastic conversations and some brilliant news, of course, with the free plugins. Sorry, the free presets for the ESQ-1 plugin that was announced today, which you can go and grab over at Cherry Audio. 880 new sounds. You'll be lost the entire weekend. Talking of the weekend, anybody up to anything fun over the weekend? I mean, you guys in America, it was Juneteenth today, so I guess Dan gave you all the day off, and you got a nice long weekend, right? Yeah. No? Yeah.
Something like that.
Summer solstice.
Anybody doing anything very interesting across the weekend that's music related?
Secateurs. I'm using electric secateurs.
I'm working
that?
on my tiki
What's that
bar.
is?
Yeah.
I have a show
milking a
Sunday.
cow.
What?
I'm picking up a TR-707 tomorrow morning.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
Fun. Gosh, I have one of those.
What, to see how much it weighs?
Yeah, quite. Then I'm picking the car and bringing it home. Sorry, Brad. The money that I've been putting aside for the S2400, some of that has now gone on this, but I will be getting an
And an
S2400.
SY99.
Yeah, that as well. Yeah. Anyway, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that's it. Next week we've got a brilliant guest coming on the show. His name is Michael Oakley. He's from the land of Scotland, and he lives in Canada. He designs presets, and he's a musician in his own right. His new album Prologue is out now. It's fantastic. Go and grab it. He's just such a really lovely guy. He's been on the show before.
Yeah, he's a good
gonna
friend.
come- Yeah, he's cool, isn't he? Yeah, he really is. So do join us next week.
Because he's Scottish.
That's because
He's Scottish.
Hopefully, he'll be a happy Scot. He lives in Canada, by the way, so I guess he's rooting for both.
He's pretty happy.
Yeah, I bet. Especially, well, hopefully after tonight in a couple of hours when that kicks off.
Fingers crossed.
Indeed. So there you go. Brilliant. Gentlemen, once again, thank you so much. Dan, Mal, and James for coming on, and of course to Jason, Scott, and Kent and Andrew. Thanks as always for joining, and of course thanks to everyone for watching and participating in the chat. We love having you here. We'll be back same time, same place next week. So don't miss us then, and have a lovely weekend. Take care, everyone. See you all soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
See ya.